Hey, you are along for the ride with the Mad Dog and Cole, the underwriter. Farrell.
Rocks were invented to sell more tires.
I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm. Wait.
Oh boy, thank you so much, Mr. Evil Knievel, for those inspiring words. We should all take a minute to live in the sunlight and enjoy life. You don't got to fly a motorcycle through the air, but it would behoove you to live in the sunlight.
That was a good word. You threw me off with the behoove.
Yeah, thanks.
Taking it to the next level.
Haven't used it in a long time.
Someone got a thesaurus.
Yeah.
But while we're taking a minute, let's take a minute to thank our first responders and the brave men and women of our military, our POWs, our MIAs. Without them, absolutely this country would not function, and we could not do this podcast.
Yeah, we are absolutely so grateful for all of our service people and first responders. Much respect, and thank you to the families of the KIA, MIA. God bless you. God bless America. God bless our troops. God bless our first responders.
Amen to that.
Yeah. Speaking of being blessed, dude, how blessed are we to have such great partners like Kicker Performance Audio?
Very blessed. All the blessed.
Yeah, man. Nice shirt, by the way.
Thank
when
you.
y'all see this, he's wearing his Kicker U shirt, which pretty Kicker Athletics. He looks like a football player. So for all your automotive, truck, boat, sandrail, off-road, motorcycle, or personal audio needs, check them out online, kicker.com, on Instagram at Kicker Audio. Tune in every other Tuesday evening, 7:30 Central, to their YouTube channel. Catch Kicker Unmasked live. And of course, man, we were talking about this light that I'm using right now because I forgot my ring light, left it out in the truck. And I am so grateful for these Bomber Eyewear Dark Smoke. I hopefully don't need the safety lens portion of them or the polarized, but they are polarized and ANSI 87 OSHA approved safety lens. Of course, you all know by now, I sport the Boogie Bombs. Check them out online, bombereyewear.com, or on Instagram at Bomber Eyewear. Oh, yeah. And they float. Of course, where would we be without our man Cole and the Premix Podcast? Find him on Instagram at the Premix Podcast. That's the at symbol ThePremixPodcast. And check out the artwork he does through the lens of a camera for all things desert racing. Man, he's just got the eye for it, got the passion for it. And also note, if you need an MC or an announcer for your event, hit him up on Instagram at the Premix Podcast. Of course, Kelsey Morrell Film, getting all our videos prepped and up on YouTube for us. Find her on Instagram at Kelsey Morrell Film. And of course, where would we be if you have seen our new Instagram page, AFTR_podcast on Instagram? That is the amazing work, all the templates, all the incredible marketing and video work and design work is none other than Hey Keeks. You've got a social media issue you need fixed, need your account updated, need your account curated, need to hire some influencers. Need a website built? Just yell, "Hey Keeks," or check her out, heykeeks.com, or on Instagram at heykeeksmarketing. Man, here we are, episode 51. I'm on the road. I put a cool 600 and something miles in today. Just got in a hotel, got set up. Cole hit me with the link, and we have got a very special guest up next, the Cuskinator himself, Mr. Dave Kuskie. And here he is, folks, without further ado, the Cuskinator himself, Mr. Dave Kuskie, Disco Dave, the
Hey,
man.
boys, good to see you. What's happening?
It's good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping on. So, for those listeners who don't know who Disco Dave is, I don't know where you've been the last 100 years in the off-road industry, but Dave is currently the executive director of the American Sand Association, and has moved from development of sand tires and wheels and sales of sand tires and wheels very successfully with Fullerton Sand Sports into the ASA position. We thought he was retiring, and next thing we know, here he is on ASA, and you're doing a great job, man.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a huge learning curve, guys. I mean, the industry part, got the contacts there and all the people there, are amazing and supportive. Learning this whole legislative part is a whole nother, ball industry, mentality, expression, because it's literally you have to learn how to get your point across and talk to those people that make things move for you.
Yeah, and you've been doing a lot of that because there's been some stuff moving recently between, I believe, Oceano Dunes just had a pretty big victory that ASA was supporting them in. And I know you were involved in a lot of the meetings with those also.
Yeah, I went to a lot of the meetings. Our group is ecologic. Don't want to leave out the guys that are Friends of Oceano Dunes. Those guys have been fighting up front hard for 20 plus years. I can't even imagine that, being on the ground and having to do that. The founders of the ASA were doing the same type of thing at Glamis. They fight for 20 years hard, trying to keep Glamis open. There's a lot of people that don't. Glamis was to being closed. The CBD shut down 40,000 acres, and they're going after another 50 to closing the whole, damn place to everybody. So it went all the way down to a court judgment, and not just stop them. We actually got the 40,000 acres back there. Yeah. So with that said, our law group is ecologic, and like I said, Friends of Oceano are, on the ground fighting, but we got this ecologic law group, which is we've got partners like SEMA, AMA, District 37, Cal 4 Wheel, Corva. All of us are working together, supporting ecologic on the legal motions and stuff that they're doing. So yeah, the Oceano thing was a huge win, stop, kind of thing, because basically got a judgment that stopped the California Coastal Commission and basically said that they overstepped their boundaries in trying to close down the dunes in Oceano. One of the things that we were aware of and prepared, you go out and beat the California Coastal Commission, they're already pre-armed and ready to appeal it. Right. So we've been ready and aware of that. We're waiting for their final filing. I mean, 6 days after the court case was done, the Coastal Commission filed their appeal. So Oceano's not done with. I mean, we're going to be fighting hard and trying to stay after it, between us and our partners. We do have group calls and we talk about it on a regular basis. Just finding out what direction to go to. With their appeal, that opens up a lot of things, because it's based on what they appeal and how they put their position and what they object to. So that could open up and be, positive for other actions to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
So it was a win. We stopped the closure. Pier Avenue is, stayed open, is reopened. And now we move forward and see where it goes to.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's, any off-roader or anybody that has any appreciation for being off-road anywhere, there is no excuse for you not being an ASA member, American Sand Association member. Memberships are cheap. Help us all keep our stuff open, man. And it's not just the dunes. There's fights going everywhere. So thank you guys. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we've been part of, Ocotillo Wells, the fight at Ocotillo when they're trying to turn it into an ancient Indian burial ground. As I start looking into some of the stuff that Ecologic and ASA has been involved with, it reaches to a lot of other areas. One of the big things I've been working on is reaching out to those other areas and those other groups and get us so that we're all starting to work together. It's, if we work together as a team, it's a whole lot better than individually fighting. So,
for sure. Yep. Absolutely.
And that biggest thing, it's like, the big plug get out there is an ASA membership is actually rather cheap. It's only $25, AmericanSandAssociation.org. But with that said, Rocky Mountain ATV gives you a $25 gift certificate sent to you for their website. So it's free.
Yeah.
Anybody that rides, should be a member. And that's something, need to get out there and get, the newer age and the couple new generations of duners get on board. We're not just at ISDRA, Glamis, Imperial Sand Dunes.
Right.
I'm in meetings in Sacramento. Like all last week, I was in meetings in Sacramento about other areas, including stuff at Ocotillo and Glamis.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well, and they have a good advocate in you because you have, I think you were born in the sand, like under rock or something out there, weren't you? In Glamis?
I've been dooning out there in the sand dunes. Okay, I'm gonna age myself and really tell you about 82, 83, I started riding out there. And I've ridden everything out there you could even imagine. One of the first guys, Joe Goodhand, that's, Fuller and Sand Sports, owned Fullerton before, I came in and kind of ran over the top of him, but took the reins. Joe got me out there dooning and got hooked early on. And, that's been one of my happy places for a long time. Get out there and go dooning, just about everything you can imagine I've ridden out there.
Yeah, I remember was it Quadzilla? For those of you who don't know, Suzuki 500cc two-stroke quad on alcohol, was that it?
Yeah, well, we had a separate carburetor we'd bolt on, and we'd bolt on a separate swing arm, and we'd put it on alcohol. And if it wouldn't clean out all the time, we had the little bottle that you couldn't let the sunlight see, and if it wasn't cleaning out all the way, you kind of do a little spill. Yeah, we didn't have the laptop computers back then. It was kind of, mix it and hope it stays together. And if it goes boom, get in the trailer and grab that other top end.
Come prepared.
Yeah, so you've just in Glamis, like not including any of the trail stuff, any of the other stuff, just in Glamis, you've pretty much ridden or driven anything that runs out there. Bikes, quads,
Evolution of side-by-sides. Yep.
Yeah.
And plenty of rails out there.
Yeah.
Cars.
I used to run my Jeep. Yeah. ran my Jeep around out there. I've had sand cars. Some of the best times is just trolling around in the Jeep, paddled it up all the way around and roll around in that thing.
Nice. So what was the trigger? Because you ride motorcycles all the time, desert and trails and all that. So what was the take us back? What was the trigger? What was like, I want to do this, or I'm gonna do this, or whatever the case may be.
Glamis was definitely the trigger that got me hooked, is going out there. I mean, I was going out there with guys that were my high school buddies. We'd go out there in a group with, everything you could imagine, and just hang out and ride. We'd have Baja bugs. I mean, I spent a lot of time out there in a Baja bug, just cruising around, and definitely nowhere near, the early days, nowhere near enough power to get anywhere, but spent a ton of time, in a Baja bug with started out with an 1835 and then, up to a 2-liter motor and then running around all over the place. Then that expanded to a buggy, where we took the motor out of there and put it into a tube chassis. Then we could do it a lot better. Then like you said, talking about the Quadzilla, when the Quadzilla came on, well, I had the 250. Okay, we'll go back from there and then we'll get really honest on here. So I bought an 85 250R Honda 3-wheeler. That son of a bitch ran over me, spit me out, tore me up, ran over my leg, and laughed at me every damn day I owned that bike. I mean, we're talking every time I rode it, I ran over myself with the thing, but still kept getting back up. So when Suzuki came out with the LT 250R quad racer, I got one of the first ones out, rode that thing, kept messing with it and building it up. And then when the Quadzilla came out, that was like the holy grail, and got hooked up with Jimmy and Harry at Trinity early on. And they were messing with the motor and building it. Yeah, I'd drive out there to Glamis, blow up the motor, turn around, drive back to Anaheim, and we'd rebuild it overnight and turn around, drive back out to Glamis and go run the thing. And then that was where the stupid stuff came in, when we were starting to, put on alcohol and mix it in funny fuel and stuff like that. And back then, you literally just dumped it in it and hope for the best. I mean, I can guarantee you 1 or 2 times we had the jet drills out and we were opening the jets up bigger and bigger because of the amount of fuel that we were getting through that thing. Yeah. And again, trial and error, run the drill through, make them bigger and make it go boom.
I've done some fuel experimentation myself, so I totally feel that and understand that. We did a little secret sauce test that I made up back when I was karting. We were running a 100cc 2-stroke Italian motor, Comet, and it was fast for almost 2 laps. And
Yeah.
Went,
Yeah, but you noticed about the extra 1,000, 1,500 RPMs you got right before it went?
yeah.
I mean,
She ran good before she blew up.
yeah.
They always do.
Especially a 2-stroke. I mean, how many times were we out there with, you took the top end off and you had the, they didn't really have a Harbor Freight back then, but you just had the auto parts hone. You take it out, you run it through the damn thing, taking, ring slap on the piston and shove it back in there and add a little bit of extra 2-stroke oil. And most of the time had to drag it to get it to fire because it wouldn't kickstart anymore. It'd have about a 2,000 span RPM band where the motor would actually run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Line that thing back up and start making some passes down the drag strip or up the hill.
Yeah. Now with the 4-strokes, it don't work that way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But yeah, man, no, those had to be great times. You know, I never, until after I met Dave, I had never been even to Glamis. So, and just
Same.
a little history, I met Dave in must have been 2008 at Doomfest. And I don't think you had Cole with you that year. I think it was the next year.
No, I'd have still been in high school in 2008.
Yeah, shut up. But I was working for Rob, and Dave had the paddle set up for the original Bad Boy in '08, which was technically an '08 chassis Terex, 1000cc, 909cc Rob Muzzy custom built V twin dry sump, and
Torque monster.
it was a beast. It made mid triple digit horsepower in '08, naturally aspirated.
Yeah, it torque steered badly.
Yeah, yeah. But I think, honestly, I think Dave was probably the first person ever to photo shoot, to drive that in a photo shoot and get actual torque wheelie pictures of it. And it cracks me up because, you know, the big thing anymore is all these sand events and even dirt events. It's like, oh, side by side wheelie competition. And it's like, man, we were doing that in '08, you know?
Yeah, and not with this big old massive, tune-up ramp to stand the thing up. I mean,
Yeah,
back in '08, I had a little roller that thing went into across a flat area, and that wheel could stand that thing up. And it was, like I said, the torque steer, if you put the throttle down in the corner, it's going one direction.
yeah,
You didn't
yeah.
have to do much turning.
No, I've described that vehicle a few times. Cole, do you remember how I describe it?
I do not.
The most frightening to this day side by side I have ever driven. It had so
Short
much power.
wheelbase,
Yeah,
just made a ton of torque, and it was you steered it with the back end of the car. So basically, wherever it was going, and wherever you had it pointed, and then you stood on it, that's the direction the car went.
yeah. It was crazy. It was an unbelievable car for the time, for sure. You know, it had long travel from um, Chad George had built long travel for it, and had King shocks before King made shocks for side by sides. So it was overshocked, overweight. The cage was really tall, and you sat in the
Yep.
stock. If anybody has ever seen the picture, if you haven't, uh, go to my Instagram at MAddOG_media, and the picture is in there somewhere. You'll see it. And Dave is sitting in it,
Yeah.
had no doors, stock seat position, and Dave's just leaned back in the seat with the thing nose up. Those 25s or 25 and a half, what were those, sand stars or something? Just,
No, they were those DWT dunes. I mounted up on those, and
yeah,
those tires were nothing. I mean, there wasn't much to them.
no,
Just we put them on it, and it worked. I'll
yeah,
never forget taking that thing up Banshee Hill, get on it, and you're aiming for the tree shot. I'm having to get out of the throttle, wrestle the steering to get it around the trees,
yep,
because back then you had to go around a stump and then in the throttle, back out of the throttle, in the throttle, and then stand on it. Once you got a clearing and stood on it, you make sure nothing's in your way, because it only goes one direction, especially going up the hill.
yeah,
You didn't turn going uphill with that car. You could
no.
turn the front wheel all you want, and it's going the direction it's pointed.
That's the first time I drove that car up Banshee Hill. It was the first time I'd driven a side by side. up Banshee Hill. And for the most part, the first time I'd driven a side by side much at all. And man, I took off dead stick right at the bottom of the hill. And I had the production manager from Muzzy's with me. And we got up to the trees and I turned the wheel right and the front tires were off the ground. I actually had to check it up, drop the front end with the tires turned to get it to turn, whack the throttle to get it to turn left, check it up to get it to turn right, whack the throttle to get it turn left. And we still crested the top of the hill at 55 miles an hour. I didn't have enough sense to back out.
Yeah. That being 08. Yeah.
08.
08
yeah.
is unheard of.
That was crazy. But we've had so many great Doomfest memories together and Doom memories together. When I started with Rob full-time in 12, Dave did the industry ride, and you were really the first one to kick off any kind of side-by-side industry event, really, that was specific.
Yeah, that was John Crowley. Yeah, John and myself that put that early industry ride on.
And we've got him on the schedule, by the way. Mr. UTVguide.net himself. I don't know. I don't think we've settled on a date yet. Because he travels a lot. I travel a lot. You travel a lot. We've been trying to get you for a month on and off. So, yeah. Dave and John put together the industry ride, and that was a good thing. I think I met Cole at Doomfest, and Cole worked for Dave.
Nope, I met you at Camp Razor before I even worked for Dave.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
That's right.
So I rode a quad. I went to Glamis. I saw Camp Razor and rode in a UTV for the first time all in this, and met you all on the same day. It was a weird day.
That's great. That had
and speaking of Crowley, I did see him at Sugar Shack at Doomfest, nice. While I was there last week.
The Sugar Shack mayor keeping it down.
Yeah, I was jealous. Dave got to go to Doomfest this year, and I did get to do other stuff that was cool. I was at the American Flat Track Castle Rock TT at the Rock, Castle Rock, Washington. But I was bummed they pushed it back a week, Doomfest back a week, because normally I book in those two. And it's, basically 2 weeks of just living my best life, so but I'm glad you got to go. Dave and I have had many adventures at Doomfest. Some I don't think we'll get into, but he was partially responsible for the beginnings of the notorious Camp Fireball, which most of you know what Fireball is. We'll just leave it. Great adventures. So now you're with the ASA, you're still out there driving and riding and stuff. What are you riding now?
Well, I've still got a couple, pumpkins, I say. So I've got, my dirt bikes still that are my passion. But for side-by-sides, I'm usually, obviously in one of the Polaris cars
Sure.
out there riding, because Polaris is a huge sponsor of the ASA. Anytime we need vehicles, they get us vehicles, along with, the biggest one every year. They supply a Razor to us to raffle and give away at the Sandsport Super Show every year. And right now I've got an amazing Pro R build. The car is just gorgeous that we're giving away. So full Pro R. A lot of companies jumped on board. DRT did an amazing build. Valor Tires and Wheels, Pro Eagle Jacks, Buggy Whips. God, if I miss people, Warren Winch gave us a winch. Boxo, buddy over there is, giving us the Boxo toolkit.
Nice.
And I think, yeah, just a lot of, great companies. Chris at Ecstasy, of course, got on board, did the wiring. We got Casey Lighting.
Cool.
Just a lot of great companies that support what we do and
Yeah,
understand that, we need to be out there getting this stuff done. So
for
I'm
sure.
driving a Polaris when I'm out there riding. Some of the new
Nice.
Pro Rs, like either DRT or I've been driving the um, get out there with the Pro Armor car, DRT car, multiple other, but mostly running around in the dunes in a Polaris. Got a cool General that I've got that I'm doing
Nice.
a nice first responders build. That's gonna be really cool. I'm really excited about that. Polaris wants us to. We're doing a little overland twist on it, and it's going to be really cool. So that's something we'll have to run around different events.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah, I look forward to seeing that one. I've been able to see the other cars, so now you know, I mean, there's just so like you have literally driven the evolution of every side by side.
Yeah, I've been in the seat of just about all of them a lot of times prior to, and
Right.
early doings of a lot of the cars that are out there.
We also had the opportunity, if I remember right, do some consulting or stunt driving or something on the on what was that, the first Jumanji movie?
Yeah, so the Jumanji 3, so designed and built the tires and wheels that are on the Rocks car running around and supplied tires and wheels to multiple of the vehicles, along with was out there a little bit driving and leading them around early on before they started doing the full filming. So it was part of that too. And there's been a couple other ones, out there driving around leading. Early days where, Lauren, you and I got really hooked up is like when that first Dune Fest that Destination Polaris got out there.
Yep.
And we did a lot of filming during that time too.
Yeah, I remember
That's where
that.
that whole that Disco Dave thing came about because Jared's filming my silver helmet and turned it
Yeah.
into a disco ball. Yeah, it's
It's,
stuck. So
that helmet is an icon. It should be in the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame, really. That heavy metal flake silver helmet. And for those of you gotta find the picture because the helmet stands out as much as that Terex pulling the wheelie did. Um, and if you go through the history of side by side pictures, I was going through a bunch of my old Muzzies files, and you drove in so many photo shoots for us, um, and really coached me and helped me learn how to drive a side by side in the sand. So the quad I could handle. A side by side, is a lot different. How not to burn up belts, and you know how to make them turn, because you don't have separated brakes, so you can't stab the front brake and snap it around. So thank you for that. I don't know if I've ever actually thanked you, but thank you for that.
you're welcome. I mean, Lauren had a beast of a quad too that I used to steal from him out of Muzzy's booth. Go make some hot laps up Banshee Hill against all the other guys on the 450s and some calm Banshees and have them looking over at a farm equipment going flying up the hill like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
Had a lot of fun on that beast. It
yeah,
was, as a big farm beast, it was another one. I could roll back on the seat and make that thing stand up just like, um, the Terex would. So it was a fun beast, and I go out there and get my giggles on and run that thing around for a couple hours and then bring it back to Lauren and move on to our next photo shoot.
out
And
of out of
speaking of
fuel.
that, yeah, out of fuel. Yeah. One of the most fun ones was that early on trail car. Remember all the rat racing around through the
Yeah.
bushes and the weeds that we did with that? You
Yeah.
know,
With the
people
little
always
Arctic
ask,
cat.
and everyone thinks about, yep. People always ask and think about, what car was your favorite to run around and do things in? And they're always, thinking it's the most high powered car that you have.
Right.
No, the amount of fun that you can have in that little trail Arctic
Hmm.
Cat that Muzzy did some work to, you could hear us laughing from car to car as we were chasing each other. I mean, Bouchard was even part of some of that rat racing around all
Yep.
over at Dune Fest. And we got these other guys with these big old built cars, and we're just hauling butt in those little 800cc
Seven.
nimble light 700.
700. Yeah. That one
Wow.
didn't even have an engine kit in it the first year.
I tell you what, you could hear us laughing from car to car driving those things.
Oh yeah, that thing we talked about that the other last episode when we were talking about Doomfest, I think.
Yeah, literally
Um
not that long ago.
yeah. Yeah, it was funny because I was like, had manual steering. Um and you looked at it and from the back with those paddles that you and Cole hooked us up with, it literally looked like a funny car, from the back because there was so much paddle back there. And that was
Yeah, you
that
didn't
thing.
you didn't trust me. I
No,
remember
I
I showed
didn't.
up and you just, nah, that ain't gonna work. No, that won't work.
Hey, I
Yeah, you,
openly
you were
admitted that on the previous podcast that we were talking about Doomfest. I said,
This is true. This is
you guys
confirmed.
showed up with those, and I was like, what the hell are you thinking? It won't turn those. And I was wrong. It was amazing. So much fun to drive. And you know, you've been able to do like so many photo shoots and so much video work and all that. Um, do you have anything that sticks out in your mind as really like um the trophy stand type thing?
wow. Putting it that way, I haven't really thought about it, but I think it's gonna be, there was a couple of those industry rides where we had the best of the best in the industry there. And we went on some dune runs, um, that we'd have. Well, the one we counted, we had 62 cars on a dune run. That was too many. But one of the best ones where we had like 40 to 50 cars that were there, and we'd take off on a dune run. I'd be out front just getting with it. Um, and we had one year that I know we were in the 30 car range, and we only
Mhm.
lost one car, and that was going on a hard dune run for probably 2 hours, and then rolled up and stopped and went around and looked, and we only had one car that we had lost, and
Mhm.
one car lost a belt. So when he stopped and did it, but that has to be probably one of the most epic, moments and runs in that weekend. We just had a group of people, of talented drivers that could all get out there and run together and just have a blast.
Yeah, I remember I think it was the first year when Chili and I were there and we had that uh everybody thought, why did you bring a BB gun to a pistol fight? We brought that little Razor 800. Little did they know, I think there were some people that were surprised that little Razor 800 was 902 cc's of pure Muzzy stroker, billet big bore. Um, and what's
Mm-hmm.
funny is Kelly and I think we unveiled that at Doomfest, and him and I built that um, in 14 hours, start to finish, 2 days before we left for Doomfest.
Yeah, Cole,
And
this will be a good one for you that you probably don't realize, but that same trip, the boys over at the pro shop brought their long travel Rhino full built motor, and Joey got out there and ran with the group and hung
Wow.
with the group. It was amazing having a Rhino mixed in with, all these other higher horsepower cars, and we were into turbo in and all that stuff, and it was all the turboed cars that were there, and the boys from the pro shop had that lightened up white car that John had built some big monster Rhino motor in it, and they hung there with it and ran with us the whole time. And it was just, thinking back, that was probably one of the years that was just amazing because we didn't have the, complete horsepower we've got now.
Sure.
But still, the speed that we were going through the dunes and stuff that really shouldn't have been going that fast was pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah, I remember we had one, thank you for inviting me to the first one I went to, which I think was 12, or I think it was 2013 maybe. But I met Danny Rosenzweig from Magnum Offroad, which turned into unbelievably great relationship. And he was sponsored. He had that John Deere factory race car program, and he was in running the 850 class, and he was sponsored by another exhaust company, and we became friends. And I said, you know what, if it ever doesn't work out or doesn't do the job, let me know. And the following year he called me up, and we got him set up, and I believe he won, I want to say 10 of 11 races that year in the 850 class, and won me a championship, and then backed it up the year after. So, I was grateful for that. More than anything, of course, I'm grateful, that you introduced me to Cole, that you put him in front of us right in the, through him. Cole was basically the shield, the human shield, and back in those days. But no, we've developed a great friendship. And, Dave, you and I have been friends, it seems like much longer than we even have been. We're like brothers. So, and man, we've had some good adventures. And Dave and John, for those of you that don't know, Dave and John Crowley started from the industry ride. It turned into UTV Invasion, which Dave ended up taking over, and I ended up doing operations for Dave for that whole event. And Cole ended up cutting his teeth as
Became the mic man.
Yeah.
announcer and MC, and is now well renowned for his talent behind the mic at off-road events. So, there is a lot of history. For those of you listening, there's a lot of history in these three people and the relationships that we have. And I'm really grateful for it, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, me as well. I mean,
go
ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was just going to say that we had a lot of people that came up to me at Dune Fest and saying how much missed, Lauren and Cole, myself, and all that, and wanted to, one of the things that, I am proud of when you start talking about moments and what we accomplished is UTV Invasion. I don't think we realized how good of a job we did, and how well, it ran. I'm starting to realize it more and more now. And there's a lot of people out there, that keep coming up and saying, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you get this going? And we're like, we did good. We enjoyed it. But a lot of people came up and gave me kudos and said, miss you guys, and, really appreciate what you guys had done. So, yeah, awesome. Cole, go ahead. And Cole got the crash course on the mic, and we had somebody, and we just said, guess what, Trickle, it's all yours.
Yeah, put a Coors Light in my hand, and away I went. So, no, but I was going to say, Dave, I mean, yeah, just to pile on what Lauren was saying, I mean, there's so many things that I'm so grateful for that you've given me the opportunity to do. I mean, I swear to this day, I would have never seen Oregon. I'd have never seen Idaho, would have no business going there unless you drugged me up there, and had so many good memories. And I think to harp on the UTV invasion thing, I think that, you did an incredible job and had great people around you. I think it was very innovative when you did the Oregon one. You had an immense amount of red tape to get through, and I don't need to air that dirty laundry on here. But I mean, people were so grateful for it. It was like a nice, I don't know. I mean, Dune Fest is amazing, and UTV Invasion Oregon was just a nice counter event to it, that well complemented it. And it's just kind of a shame that it was so tough to keep going, but definitely memorable stuff.
Yeah, that's, if you talk about that, Lauren, where you talk about my most memorable things, just the events up in Oregon and the events in Idaho. My experience with the industry, hold close to my heart, and all the friends that I've got there, which has made it so that I feel like I'm being successful at ASA is so important. Because I can walk up to most anybody in the industry and start having a conversation about the ASA. Would have to worry about saying the sales pitch or anything like that. But the followers and the don't even want to say followers, the friends that we now have.
Yes.
I'd say hundreds of people that love dearly to my heart. When I run into them at Dune Fest and I run into them at events all over the place, I'll run up to Idaho and check on the boys that, bought UTV Invasion, and I'll go up to that event, and the amount of people that come up and still thank us, the three of us, for what we've done. I mean, with those events, just how much they loved, coming to those events and seeing what we did. So, after the fact, during the time, we were all pushing the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
And then you can think about it after the fact, realizing how well we actually did and be proud as hell of what we did.
For sure. And how special of an event it was over any other event out there, and when there was only one, well, Polaris had Camp Razor and there was Doomfest, and Dave and John came up with UTV Invasion, and then there was UTV Invasion, and now there's all these other spinoffs, and literally in the tens of UTV events that really I don't think anybody that runs or has a UTV event, off-road event now, really would have taken the initiative to do it themselves had they not seen you do that. So, and say, oh, well, that is doable, whether they copycatted or whatever. We're going to leave all that out of it because, that's not for me to say right now. We'll just bypass that. But really, you were the innovator, you and John, and Cole and I were fortunate enough to be involved in the beginning stages. I mean, we can look at any UTV off-road event around the country and go, we started that, so it's pretty rad for sure, man.
And just seeing the promoter side of things. Go ahead, Dave.
No, you're hitting it. Go ahead, Cole.
I was just going to joke, but it's true too. There's some of these events that you look at from the promoter side of things and you go, I definitely wouldn't do that, and you would never think that way beforehand,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I wouldn't answer that.
That's 100% it. It's just, you see stuff and ahead of time, and God, I get to any of these events. I mean, there's a lot of large events I show up to, and the promoter will come up and, hey, what do you think? What do you think about this? And so still getting that recognition, how well we did it, how well that was put together. The girls and Lauren and Cole, everybody.
Yeah. For those of you listening and watching, it wasn't just the three of us. We had the redhead and the striking Viking behind us cracking the whip. and sometimes telling us to get the F out of the way and shut up.
Yep.
And we probably needed it, and so grateful for them and the people that jumped in and helped us with all that. And Dave, you kind of short sell yourself and underselling yourself, but I know, well, we just have Renner on. I would not have met Renner had it not been for you. Maybe I would have at a Camp Razor, but you introduced us at a time when on the invasion, and we're now famous friends, or slightly less than famous, but still friends. Um, Clay Millica and I had the opportunity to get some shots and stuff of his rig and participate in it in the build on Blue Thunder, which was a tribute to his son that passed away. And I'm sure Clay doesn't listen, but Clay, if you do happen to listen, we love you, man. I went to my first Nitro drag race with Dave. And you might as well, it was the Vegas 4 wides too. And we just hung out in Clay's pit. It was so rad. And, another great friendship that you've made. And really, I don't know that Clay would have got that bug for, his razor or ripping around the sand had you not said, "Hey, come out and go for a ride,"
Hey, I got a good story on that whole, hey, come out and go for a ride. So I had to get back to the shop. So I left old Trickle here at Glamis with Clay in the old 15 turbo Can-Am
Yep.
for them to ride and do some photo shoots and stuff like that. Cole sends me this picture and he says, "Hey, we got a great shot of Clay." He sends me this picture of Clay skying out that 15 turbo. And the way it looked, I'm like, oh my, break anything?
Yeah, but there's even a
Clay
backstory to
still
that.
talks about that.
Oh, yeah, and he launched it way farther than I did. But my favorite part of that shoot was it was like, okay, Cole, go hit that and make sure it's safe for Clay. So I got to be his crash test dummy. And then it was like, all right, Clay, it's safe, pin it.
That's awesome. And that's another legendary picture.
Yeah.
For sure. And people don't know because he consistently also sells himself short, but Cole did a lot of stunt driving for photo shoots and video work too.
Not nearly as much as Dave, but I definitely got to have some iconic moments and some good shots. And even not, I've had a lot of industry photos where I'm in the front seat, which is so weird because the three of us, none of us are co-drivers. So it's like
No.
to be on these magazines and these Instagram posts where it's in the front seat is even weird for me. But I mean, there's a great shot of Dave and I, and like I said, none of us here, none of us are co-drivers. Like to sit in that right seat is strange as hell. But there's a great shot of me riding with Dave in Idaho, and he's got the 4-seater 1000 just coming into the mirrored lake in Idaho, and it's like that's like a moment of my life I'll never forget. I think Crowley got it was either Seth or Crowley got such a beautiful photo. And yeah, I mean, and Dave's such a good driver that I've fallen asleep in the back seat in the dunes, not because he's boring, but it's because I can trust him and he's smooth, and that's no joke.
Yeah, that's saying something. I know Dave can't right seat because his vertigo goes nuts. He's got nothing to hang on to and focus on.
Hey, it works as a good excuse. That way I don't have to
Yeah.
get in the right seat, okay?
Yep.
Because there's not many people I trust as drivers. And control freak, if I don't have that steering wheel in my hands, I'll sit over there and start making judgment on everybody on how they're going through the dunes.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, I got a great story about Dave. So we're at Camp Razor. It would have been, I think, 2013. So we're at Camp Razor, and Dave and I were hanging out, having a good old time. And he's like, "Hey, one of my friends is working on a prototype turbo XP 900 with Polaris. Let's go for a ride." Got my helmet and get in the car, strap in, and we take off. And keep in mind, these guys are engine people and primarily turbo people, not handling people.
Yeah.
This car was soft as a, I don't even know, not a wet sponge, because at least it had some rebound. That thing was so soft. And Dave took off. He's like, let's go out to Olds. I'm like, sure. About 3 minutes or so into the ride, I realize I'm holding on to the holy shit bar, and like with meaning, right? Because I'm a little concerned. And I realize after about the second tree well that Dave wheelies out of, and then he passes a car going down the sand highway, passes him on the back tires. I realize he's doing everything he can to scare me. So I let go of the grab bar, snug the belts up, tuck my hands in the belts, and I'm like, all right, let's see what you got. And that was a heck of a ride. That was a good time. That was the first time I was ever out at night in Glamis. And I had absolutely, I'm thinking to myself at first, I was a little worried. And then I'm like, this guy's been riding out here his whole life. Got nothing to worry about, So, yeah, man, that was a moment, a Glamis moment I will never forget. Another one I'll never forget is when I found it was at an industry ride, and we had the big bore. I had the big bore Razor down there, and I discovered that we had a issue. They had an issue with the continuity in the right fuel injector connector. So, which came into play like 2 weeks later when RJ called me with his brand new 1000 from the track in Taft, going, this thing is all of a sudden just shutting off, like it's dropping one bank. I'm like, So, anyways, I solutionized it for him. It worked. He won the race. But if it wasn't for the test run at the industry ride, man, it wouldn't have happened. So, a big
Hey,
thing to
but Lauren,
remember.
when you don't have the suspension's too soft. You got to keep the front end of the air and just stay on the top of the whoops like a dirt bike.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that car was bottoming out, but there was a certain speed to so that the front end was in the air and the back would touch the top. So, yes, we were bottoming out almost instantly as we were getting into Sand Highway and then over into the road back to Olds. So we
Yeah.
were running the little dunes bouncing around. And I realized at that point that I had to clear the G out spots or that thing would bottom out and tear us up. I
Yeah.
remember that.
It was that was a hell of a ride. I'll never forget it. It was super enjoyable. But man, there's just like there's so many people in the industry that you have influenced and helped network people to people. I probably couldn't even begin to list the people that you've introduced me to, And probably the same for Cole. So I mean, it's great now that in your retirement, you're riding just as hard as you ever have, but you're also able to, the ASA really needed someone with your connections.
Yeah, thanks. I'm, to be perfectly honest, when I got um, trying to get a lot of stuff done, I was starting to get frustrated because I wasn't seeing the needle move. But then a few people, sat down, were having a good, deep conversation with me, explaining, well, a couple of them flat just said, you've got more done in the last year and a half, 2 years than has happened in quite a while.
Wow.
Changed my attitude on a lot of things. It really did. I'm enjoying it and taking in and realizing what are wins and what are accomplishments to move the needle compared to looking for something that's a finality to make it to move the needle forward. There's a lot of small wins and small communications that are huge. One big one for me, which was I was just at the OHV Safety Summit a week and a half ago in Sacramento before I went up to Dune Fest. And the top law enforcement people, as I walked into the office, we had this big seminar in a big building meeting area. And the two top law enforcement guys, I come walking in, they go, "Hey, Dave, how's it going?" And I was kind of taken back by that, but which was really cool. You know, you get recognized and then get a couple of the commissioners and then the head chair that have now reached out to me afterwards to help them with projects. And literally they made the point of saying, "Hey, can you help us with this stuff? Because we're coming to find out you've got a lot of connections in industry to help us work on things." One of the biggest things was getting CBD, which is that Center for Biological Diversity. We actually met with them in person on the ground, which is unheard of, and had a full-on conversation with those people. And they're the ones that are part of every closure everywhere, but was able to sit down and have a conversation on the ground with them. Can't go into much more because of, all the stuff I can't talk about
right
until we get accomplished. But those connections and all these friends and relationships like Lauren, we have and crossed all the years in the industry is making it so that it's paying off and has an open window to have a conversation with people to help moving things forward. So blessed, completely humbled like crazy. When you get up there in front of groups like this and they recognize you, it really makes you feel good.
Yeah. Now, like, you could sell ice to an Eskimo if you're still allowed to say that. You've always had the gift for gab, and you know what you're talking about, most importantly. So it's been fun to watch you make this transition into the ASA role. And I know how tough that must be for you to, I don't want to say learn to play the game, but to have to play by their rules it's not something that I would want to take on. But if you need an example of the needle moving, I would not want to go against you in court. So, when you're having these sit down meetings or going through these litigations, like, just know that you're the right guy to have in the corner.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks,
100%. 100%. So,
yeah. And meeting with a couple of other friends, Kane and Chris, ran into them up at Oregon and sat around, and they both said, "Thank you." And, I thank them for, saying that they're standing behind me, but it is, and it really makes me realize more and more of, I can make an impact on this. And that does help me for pushing forward down the road and going after things.
for sure. And that's a big thing. Sometimes, like you said, we're very results driven, right? That's just the kind of people we are.
Yes.
But the scale of results has changed, for you, and you've adapted to that and exceeded it. Is that the word I want, Cole?
Yeah.
excelled at it. Excelled. That's what I
So
meant.
Casey Cordero is acting president of ASA right now. When I first came on, and we all know Casey. Casey's been around forever. Casey's been on the ASA board for few years before me. And when I came on, him and I talked. He says, "You're going to get frustrated," and he flat had the conversation. You're going to get frustrated. I've been trying to get things done for years. Just stay at it, stay confident, and basically telling me he's got my back, which was huge. So
Yeah.
That, yeah, someone else from the industry like that, that flat tells you that you're going to get frustrated, but just kind of stay on the path that it's right, and just keep going. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I gotta watch myself, dial it back.
Right.
Scream into the pillow sometimes.
Casey is a rad dude. Him and Jess are actually both on the schedule, I think sometime in the next month. So that's one of those, because they're both so storied and historied in motorsports in almost different fields to begin with. It's one like, do you have them both on together and just let them go at it, or do we have them on separate and then have another show with both of them? Cole and I have like tossed that around multiple times. It's like, I don't know what's the best to do. So we'll see how all that works out. But I see we're getting close up here on time. Dave, I know that you probably, what's next for you? What's coming up?
Sandsport Super Show is the main one. So besides our big booth, we give away the Razor there.
Yep.
It's fundraising. We do hospitality there for all the vendors in the campground. So right in the campground, right next to the fairgrounds. So we supply, because all the vendors that are in there, and Cole, you remember how little time we had to do anything when we had the booth there.
Yeah.
So the one thing nice about the ASA is breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the vendors, because there's a campground. We've rolled that into Friday night. We got a taco guy that Glamis Bums and DRT Motorsports sponsor that. And then on Saturday night, you're going to love this crew that I've got in there. So I've got Crazy Watson,
Yes.
Adam, my buddy Adam, and Robert doing barbecue for the whole crew. I had them in there last year and they did it. And you want to talk about some amazing food and a riot. Just those guys all together doing stuff. It was just so funny and hilarious. We had, Polaris and Yamaha and Can-Am people. We had all kinds of different people across the industry that were over there hanging out in the booth. And we feed dinner to about 200 people. And after you get out of the booth, to be able to chill out and come back there and have some, adult beverages and relax and just let your hair down and have a good old time.
Yeah.
So that I've got a plan and
you've got a plan and what?
Have it completely ready. So I'm kind of in charge. I'm the driving force to handle that. A couple years ago, and it's kind of happened. They had other people who were kind of handling it, but I jumped in and same thing. Things weren't getting done fast enough, so I just grabbed the reins and ran with it. Now, since I've done that, that's my baby to make happen. So
awesome.
I like it. It's fun. So hopefully, Cole, see you down there, and
I'll be down there.
Come join us.
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I'll be there also, and I look forward to seeing you. I always look forward to running over and getting a burger and seeing friends at the ASA booth. Because a lot of times, like you said, as a vendor, you don't have time to stand in one of the food lines, and the ASA is always gracious and takes great care of us. Those of you listening, can you buy raffle tickets online or only in person?
You can buy them online, but we'll have them in person also, or they can, PM me, but you can even call the ASA, get on the ASA page, either message me, message Nikki, or at the Sand Sports Super Show. So one thing about the Sand Sports Super Show, it is the largest off-road show, power sports show anywhere. If you haven't been to that show, you are missing out. Every company or any company that's anything, along with every manufacturer, is there, and it's almost like a power sports SEMA. You can't just do it one day.
No.
If you're trying to do it in one day, you're missing out on stuff. You can try to run through in one day, but I guarantee if you can make it down there for 2 days, then you can actually go back and enjoy the things that you saw.
Yeah, for sure. And for all those of you listening that are going to the Sand Sports Super Show, so you know, that Pro R is $100 a ticket, and there is how many tickets?
We only produced 1,000 tickets, so it's $100 a ticket, and when we sell out, they sell out. So
that's pretty good
at
odds.
the show. We will sell out. Yeah, 1 in 1,000. So
1 in 1,000. You buy 2, it's 2 in 1,000. You buy 5, it's 5 in 1,000. It's pretty good. That's a fair investment, people. Especially those of you that listen.
Pizza and beer cost you more than that these days.
Yeah, no kidding.
Those are my friends listening that have the expendable income. Do something right. Support the American Sand Association and buy like 5 raffle tickets. Maybe you'll win a razor. If you don't,
I'll deliver it to you. It's
Yeah.
always fun delivering these things to people that win.
Yeah, I bet. That's got to be a great time.
Yep, real good time.
So that's your next event out is Sand Sports. You got any riding planned before then or anything?
I'm going to try to get out for a day ride for sure. I got to get on my dirt bike. That's still my sanity, is to go jump on the dirt bike and run around for a little bit. I know it's warm, but up above Lake Silverwood and Big Bear, the single tracks up there, they're a lot of fun and they're great riding. It's up there. I do have one other event which need to mention is the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame this year is first week in September. So I'll be attending that in Las Vegas. It's an amazing event. Able to spend it there with, Bob Ham, which is the guy that created the Off-Highway Vehicle Association program in California, green sticker and everything. He's one of our board members. So I'll be sitting with him, Jim Branham, a couple other advocates. Cal 4 Wheel will be there, Corvo will be there, and it's honor and pleasure to be there for that, especially with all the top personalities in the off-road industry are there for that event. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I actually, speaking of that, I am humbly mentioning that I believe my Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame membership is expired. So I need to get that back on track because our boy Seth Quintero is up for a Desert Racing Impact Award.
Wow.
Yep. I put my vote in for him today. What a great kid.
Yeah, we had him on. He's been on a couple times. We had the whole Rebel Off-Road Junior Team USA on, him and Mitchie and AJ, but we had Seth and then Mitchie on separate episodes. And we actually have AJ coming up on his own episode pretty quick too. So, but yeah, great kid. We've worked with him. I know both of us have worked with him forever, it feels like, considering he's 20. So
what a great kid, and just the family and everything, as in a great ambassador for the sport.
Yep.
Just somebody that you want to be around and be listening to the whole family, how well the family is, loves the sport and really are true ambassadors of the sport. The whole family is.
Yep, for sure. 100%. All right, Dave, closing statements. You got anything else to say? We got to wrap it up.
Well, the biggest
Anybody
thing
to
is,
thank?
now I'm putting on my legislative hat, but you want to support those companies that are out there that support your right to ride. Kicker does an amazing job too, supports, anything and everything that, if I've ever asked them or needed them to get on board, they don't even hesitate. The boys at Kicker are amazing and they support all of us for what we do. So you need to make sure to support companies like Kicker and others that step up and support your right to ride out there. All the ASA or different advocate groups in your area, wherever it is you're riding, please support the advocate groups that are handling and taking care of the stuff in your area. Most of the people that are for these advocate groups are just volunteers. I'm the lead executive director, so I'm the one salaried person for the ASA. But ASA as a whole is basically run by a bunch of volunteers. So supporting the ASA, it helps covering the legal costs. We don't have a bunch of money going towards covering overhead, but most of the money goes directly towards all these individual fights that we get into. So make sure the advocate groups, wherever you're at, find out who the main group is, get a membership with them, volunteer. And that's the biggest thing for all these groups. Can't afford to, send checks out. Go volunteer with them. That's worth money also to them, whether you've got your checkbook out or whether you can come volunteer to help out. That's all got the same value with all of us. So that's really, really important. In any of the companies out there that you see doing fundraisers or donating things, that's money out of their pocket, but they know it's going towards groups that are fighting to keep riding areas open and working on their behalf since they can.
Well said. Well said. Anybody you want to thank?
Well, gotta thank the Mad Dog and Trickle for sure. Those guys, love you guys.
Love you.
Enjoy it. Polaris Industries, those guys are stepping up big time. We're not just Polaris, we've got Yamaha, and then, even support Can-Am. We've got support across the board. People just need to realize how many of the companies actually support everything that I'm working on. So, what's important to me is those companies that step up. And I thank them with my whole heart for them stepping up and giving to ASA and other advocate groups to keep us moving forward, to keep, what we love to do, keep it open and, keep it accessible to everybody.
Yep, for sure. Well said. So we've got to wrap it, but we're about due for Adventures of Mad Dog and Disco.
Yes.
And I know we're definitely due for soft serve.
It's way past due. We need to do our road trip and stop and get some ice cream somewhere.
Hell yeah.
Miss those days. Yeah.
Me too.
Too much fun. And that started out with Mr. Rob Muzzy. That started out with Lauren and I going to the ice cream shop just to sit and buy an ice cream cone and then sitting there for 3 hours listening to stories. So every time Lauren and I get together for a Mad Dog and Disco road trip, we make a stop, get an ice cream wherever we go. It's
a priority.
Part of the ritual that we've got to do.
Yes, for sure. Awesome. Cole, you got anything for Dave?
Dave, I'll see you at Sand Show, and try to remember to have fun at the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame. I know you're a busy guy, but try to squeak some fun in there, would you?
Oh, I will.
Okay, good. Vegas, darn.
Yeah, we'll try.
All right. Dave, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Love you, brother. We'll
love you guys.
See you at Sand Sports. And as always, I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, boys. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
See you, Dave.
Anytime.
Dude, so much fun.
Oh yeah.
He seemed a little nervous.
You know what? It's harder to be on video than I think you remember, And
maybe.
and just like you, the dude runs at 110% all the time. So
Yeah.
the fact that he's even sitting in his kitchen is a miracle. So
For an hour. Yeah.
yeah.
We actually got Dave Kuskie to sit down in one spot for an hour.
It didn't move. He never left the chair.
Yeah.
I mean,
Awesome.
he might have been tied down, but that's not our problem.
No comment. Yeah, no, man. So rad. Dave's been such a big influence on both our lives
Yep. The
and
reason we
both
know each
our
other.
where we're at together and where we are at now, you know, wouldn't have happened without Dave. Of course, wouldn't have happened without the great Rob Muzzy. Um, but just so blessed, dude.
Yeah.
With that, I think we need to wrap up. Folks, please check out the American Sand Association, donate, spend the $25 and buy a damn membership. I believe that is, what do you say it was? AmericanSandAssociation.org.
Correct.
Okay, good. Or you can find them on Instagram at Cole.
I'm pulling it up. Hold the show.
Sorry.
American Sand Association. It's ASA Sand Assoc on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you, Cole. And of course, be sure and take a browse through the websites and Instagrams of our great partners, Kicker Performance Audio. Find them at kicker.com, on Instagram at Kicker Audio, Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear, Bomber Safety Eyewear, Bomber Badass Eyewear. Be a badass like Mad Dog and get Bomber Eyewear from bombereyewear.com or on Instagram at Bomber Eyewear. Of course, the Premix Podcast. None of this would happen without them and without Cole. Check it out. Instagram, the at symbol ThePremixPodcast at the Premix Podcast for all your desert racing photo needs. Hit him up, find out where he's going to be at, drop him a DM. No weird pics. I know
Or
some
send
of you
some,
will.
whatever.
Or whatever. I guess he's not judging this week. So, okay, cool. Of course, Kelsey Morel Film on Instagram at Kelsey Morel Film. I was blessed enough to just spend part of the day with her yesterday. And big things coming for her. She's working on some big projects and pretty impressive. And she's working, I think she said, on 5 or 6 of our episodes at once to get them ready to go on our YouTube and YouTube podcast, which is Mad Dog Space Media. Of course, Hey Keeks Marketing. Find her online, heykeeks.com, and on Instagram at Hey Keeks Marketing. That's KEEKS, in case I'm not enunciating properly. And all your, whether you need a social media, website, whatever you need, you just yell, Hey Keeks. Check it out. Cole, parting statements.
Desert season is quickly approaching, and I'm excited to get back to racing in September. I saw Jake on Sunday, and the race bike was just a frame, so got some work to do.
Nice. I am on my way back from the American Flat Track in Castle Rock, which we'll do a cover of that in another episode. Running straight down the Vegas to Reno backwards. Ironically, the day before they race.
Yeah, qualified today.
Currently in beautiful Hawthorne, Nevada, which don't kid yourself. And I was able to note a couple of key things, road construction wise, between Top Gun, pit 11, I believe that's pit 11, and Hawthorne, which eventually south of Hawthorne, I think it's Luna or Mina is pit 8 or 9. So, yeah, there I was able to touch base with a few of our good friends and let them know, hey, if you got a team going from 8 to 11, beware. So, and I'll be doing the I Spy all the way down 95. One, I'll be looking for aliens, of course.
Or
And
they might
two,
find you.
yeah, you never know. They have before the SpaceX dude. Just
True
saying.
story.
True story. So yeah, I'll be keeping my eyes peeled for anything weird and unusual that I might be able to help tip my buddies off that are racing the race the following day. So
You're backwards pre-running somehow.
yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
So with that, folks, thank you very much. We continue to grow. I don't know why or how. Thank you for telling your friends. Cole, do the speech.
Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform.
So smooth. It just makes me want to do it. I've already done it.
Yeah, but you can do the whole ad read in one shot, so I can at least do that. I can do one sentence.
I ad-lib the ad read, so it's easy. I just verbal diarrhea, bro. I just let her flow. With that, I think we should call it. From wonderful Hawthorne, Nevada, the Travel Lodge at El Capitan Casino. Stay away, folks. Mad Dog out.